You use it every single day. But have you ever really stopped to think about how language works? I mean, not just the grammar rules from school, but the deep, invisible system that gives our words meaning in the first place? Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on the groundbreaking ideas of Ferdinand de Saussure to uncover the hidden rules of the game we're all playing. Here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start by breaking down the basic building block of language, the sign. Then we'll get into the wild idea that words get their meaning from what they're not. We'll use a fantastic chess analogy to see how the whole system works. And finally, we'll sort out the difference between the rules of the language, which he called langue, and the way you actually speak it, parole. So let's just dive right in with the big one. How do words get their meaning? Now, the easy answer, the one that seems kind of obvious, is that a word just points to a thing. The word apple points to an apple. Simple, right? Well, Saussure showed us that the real story is so much cooler and more complex than that. Saussure's first big move was to tell everyone to stop thinking about words and start thinking about the linguistic sign. For him, a sign wasn't just a label for a thing. No, it was this two-sided psychological unit, a kind of mental coin. Okay, so a sign isn't linking a word to an object out in the world. It's actually linking a concept in your brain to a sound image in your brain. And these two parts, the signifier and the signified, are completely inseparable. You know, like the two sides of a piece of paper. You can't have one without the other. Let's make this super clear. Take the word tree. The sound you make, T-R-E-E, or the letters you see on the screen, that's the signifier. It's the material form. And the concept that immediately pops into your head, the general idea of a tree with a trunk and leaves, that's the signified. The signifier is the form. The signified is the idea. Together, they make the sign. All right, now this is where things get really wild. Saussure pointed out that the link between the sound tree and the idea of a tree is totally arbitrary. I mean, there's nothing inherently tree-like about that sound, is there? It could have been glorp. So if the meaning isn't in the word itself, where on earth does it come from? This idea right here is a total game changer. Language isn't just a process of sticking name tags on things that are already out there. Instead, language is what creates the concepts in the first place. It carves up reality. And the meaning of any given sign doesn't come from what it is, but how it's different from all the other signs in the system. Think about it like this. The word cat has meaning because you know it's not a bat, and it's not a cap, and it's not a cot. Its identity, its value, is defined entirely by what it isn't. Meaning is relational. It's all about the differences. To really get our heads around this idea of a system built on relationships, Saussure gave us this absolutely brilliant analogy, a game of chess. And honestly, this is the key to unlocking how language works as a complete structured system. So let's break this down. Imagine a rook on a chessboard. The physical piece, whether it's carved from fancy wood or it's just a plastic token, that's the signifier. The material doesn't matter one bit. What makes it a rook? It's the rules about how it can move, right? Straight lines, any number of squares. That set of rules, that's the signified. But here's the most important part. Its value in the game, its power, comes entirely from its position on the board relative to all the other pieces. So that underlying rulebook for the game of chess? Well, for language, that's what Saussure called langue. It's the abstract social system, the shared grammar and vocabulary that all speakers of a language have in their heads. You can think of langue like a giant communal cupboard. It's filled with all the signs and all the rules for combining them, and everyone who speaks the language has a key. We just sort of intuitively know the rules. We don't have to look them up every time we want to say something. Okay, so if langue is the rulebook, then what do you call the actual moves being made in any given game? The specific things we say and write every day? Well, that's the other side of the coin, and Saussure called it parole. Parole is language in action. It's every sentence you speak, every text you send, every word of this explainer right now. It's the individual, concrete, personal use of that big abstract system. It's you making your move. So let's put it all side by side. Langue is the system, the rule book, the shared cupboard. It's social and abstract. Parole is the individual act, the specific game, the words you actually choose. It's individual and concrete. And here's the thing. You absolutely cannot have one without the other. Rules are meaningless if no one is playing the game, and you can't play the game without the rules. This sentence right here, it seems so basic, but it's a perfect little piece of parole. Each word is a sign that was pulled from that shared cupboard of langue. and they've been combined in a specific order that follows the grammatical rules of the system to create a meaningful statement. It's the rules in action. So, what's the big deal with all this? Why does it matter? Well, because Saussure's shift in focus from individual words to the underlying system, the structure, wasn't just an idea, it was an explosion. It became the foundation for a whole intellectual movement called structuralism, which completely changed how we analyze everything, not just language, but literature, culture, even advertisements. And this all leaves us with a final, pretty mind-bending question to chew on. If the language we use is a social system with hidden rules that existed long before we did, a system that actually shapes the concepts we can think with, then how much of what you say or even what you think is truly and originally your own?